Welcome to Arpin Group's International Insights and part 3 of our 4-part micro-series that's focusing on COVID-19 and how it's affecting the global relocation industry. I'm Linda Casey, and in part 3, we are going to learn what clients are going through and ways we've been able to help them cope with these tough times and make things a bit easier. Joining me in providing their insight is our global panel who truly have the pulse on the industry, and they are representing Ireland and the United Kingdom, Keith Whelan, Arpin International Group's Managing Director, Ireland. Representing Germany and the mainland EU, Sebastian Sommer, Arpin International Group's Managing Director, Germany. Representing the Middle East and India, Lauren Inglis, Arpin International Group's Regional Director of the Middle East and India. Representing Singapore and Australia, Michael Johnson, Arpin International Group's Vice President, Asia Pacific Region. Representing China, Michael Hughes, Arpin Group's Vice President, Global Business Development. And rounding off our panel from the United States is host and moderator Jim Esposito, Arpin Group's Vice President, Global Strategy. Now let's hear from Mr. Esposito and our panel.
Keith Whelan, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Here I am.
What are you hearing from local clients, and have we been able to assist them in many ways?
Yeah, well, I think when this originally happened in March for here in Ireland, there was an initial rush for clients to go home to where they originally came from, go and isolate or quarantine with their own families. So you got a lot of people just leaving their apartments and going back to the USA or around the world to stay there during the lockdown period. So initially, we had to develop and react very quickly, set up procedures in order to keep our employees safe and their clients safe. We switched over from a majority of physical surveys where a surveyor would actually go to a home. We switched over to video surveying, something we had done previously, but it became our main way of completing all the surveys. So we found that to comfort the clients, get an opportunity to speak with them, talk them through their concerns, it was all done by video link, much like today. And we had an opportunity to see their home, assess their move, assess their access, assess their needs in advance without any sort of physical contact. When it came to the move for the employees that left, we were able to gain access through sort of landlords or to letting agents that allow our teams to go in and pack without the employee being there, the assignee being there. And what we would do is we'd do a video call at the beginning of the move so the crew would get familiar with the clients and walk through the house. And then we complete the packing, and then at the end of the move do the same process again. So we've done a number of those moves, which helps get shipments to people who left who didn't intend to return very quickly. And we also have a similar situation as in Europe. We do intra-European moves. So we're at the moment finding that clients are very, very keen to follow the procedures, if they're required to isolate, to want to isolate. So this is, although we have a bigger transit time coming out of Europe, being on the edge and having to go through the UK mostly, we'd pick up a consignment. That consignment would tend to come via storage, be handled into store, and then redelivered at a time when the client is actually safe to receive the consignments into their home. In the initial periods as well, we found that people who were keen and had small shipments, some of them were opting for curbside deliveries. Some embassy clients found that they didn't really want the unpacking service at this time. So we would bring the consignment to be placed at the doorway, much like an Amazon delivery. And the pieces would be confirmed and checked off and the picture taken. And then the client would come out and take the cartons into by themselves into their home, which meant that if you had a small consignment, you weren't waiting 2 weeks without your personal effects in a country that you probably didn't know very well. And you were already trying to overcome some of the service issues, getting food, getting bedded into your new home. At least you had your personal items with you. And a lot of clients found that really useful and enjoyed that service.
Oh, excellent. Good idea. Great approach. Mr. Sommer in Germany. Sebastian, how's it going there? What are we doing with clients? What are we hearing? How can we help them?
So the basic message you hear from our customers is uncertainty. No corporate, no HR, not the assignee knows what's happening in the next month. So that's something we have to work around, and that's something we needed to do in the past, as Keith said, that we needed to pack shipments without the assignee. They left the country. We needed to do the final walkthrough with video chat, and that's something new for our crews as well. So that's something everyone needs to be involved and learn and try to be a better communicator at the end. And yeah, that's a basic situation we see as well. We need to be more flexible at the end, because date changes very shortly. We don't know if the assignee can arrive, if they need to go into quarantine, or if they got the negative test and can enter the country without quarantine. So that's something we need to be very flexible and change the moving dates very shortly.
That sounds challenging.
Yes.
Last
For
minute
everyone,
changes.
for
Yeah.
for and for us.
Yeah, no, I get that. Lauren, you want to weigh in on that topic?
Yeah, I think, that's a very valid point, what Sebastian was saying. Uncertainty is definitely how it's been going from what we are hearing from clients. A lot of it has been uncertainty when it comes to, and a lot of questions about what the procedures are when crew are coming into their homes to come and pack. So a lot of it is reassurance. I mean, like everywhere, hundreds and thousands of people have lost their jobs. So we're moving a lot of people back to their home countries. The difference with the Middle Eastern countries is that obviously expats make up the vast majority of the population across the Middle East here. And what happens over here is once people have lost their jobs, they have 30 days to find a new job, or they have to leave. So my main concern over this year has been moving people with empathy. I think it's extremely important to think about what that person and their family are going through, because we were moving so many people that did not want to leave, some of them that had plans to live out here for longer and were kind of forced to leave. So yeah, it's about putting yourself in their shoes more than anything, and really considering what it is that they're going through, I feel.
Wow, that's tough, because I would imagine some of these folks you're referring to have been there quite some time. It's become home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the UAE actually announced for the first time, it was big news here, that they were going to be issuing retirement visas with criteria that you have to meet, of course. But before, that was never an option. So many people who have made this their home and have lived out here for 30, 40 years, once they finished up and they were retiring, they were kind of going back to a country that hadn't been home and they had no idea about. So I'm hoping that it makes it more attractive for people to stay. And there's actually been a lot of news released lately, reasons why Dubai is so attractive. The Middle East as a whole is so attractive. India, for one, that I manage on this side as well. It's there's so many positives, obviously positive cases, but at the same time they're doing very well in terms of working with companies, overseas entities like Oxford, trying to get a vaccine organized. But in terms of technology, they're really sort of hitting the ground running, particularly in places like Bangalore and Mumbai, like the metro cities itself. But also here in the UAE, I thought it was such an amazing response. We had, I think, 23,000 or 25,000 volunteers for the trial vaccine. So that was really good news as well. And then Bahrain kind of followed suit. So yeah, some positivity and light at the end of the tunnel at least. And, if anything, we here in the UAE and here in the region, and back in 2008, we had a mass exodus during the recession, and it did pick up again. So I fully believe that it will pick up again. It's just a case of when.
Well, we all need some good news these days.
Yeah.
Michael Hughes.
Very, very similar to what everyone had talking about, and I loved what Lauren had said about empathy. Beyond the doing virtual surveys, doing virtual packouts with senior leadership on site, we've been helping to support all those kind of things, especially for assignments that were terminated early, people not coming back and helping to get their goods out of the country. Another item that we've been looking at is in connection with a lot of our local clients and HR professionals that we work with on a day-to-day basis. We had a chance to sit down with them a couple of weeks ago and tried to understand what some of the pain points that they were facing. And what we noticed is that one of the biggest struggles in occupying most amount of time for individuals is how to get their assignees back into the country, and what does that process look like. And that process is also very, very stressful, because you can imagine for expats that have been out here for a year, 2 years, they had to go back because of the crisis. They may not be fluent in Chinese. They may not be 100% settled or comfortable with the local culture, and having to come back and face isolation, a government selected hotel. I mean, they are like 5-star, 4-star hotels. So they are nice places. They're in with the city limits. However, you can imagine for an expat not even being able to speak a language of the local people, it's a huge amount of stress. One of the things that China is working on is that for special approval, individuals that are coming back in that have proven that they have a negative test results, they can come in to do the quarantine for a shorter period and then go to their home residence. If they're allowed to do this, they still must quarantine and finish the full 14 days at their property of residence, and they're not allowed to leave. However, there are some exceptions being made for individuals who apply in advance to have a 7-day mandatory quarantine at the government facility and then transfer to their own residence. And during these discussions that we had with these HR professionals, we understood that, for one, these people have left since pretty much January or February. So it's over 6 months. They haven't even been in the home. So the home is going to be very dusty for sure. There's going to be a lot of things that they don't need, they don't have, that they're going to need, including basic necessities, food products, those kind of things. So for ARPAN locally, what we decided to do is to offer support to these HR professionals. Say, listen, we love you as clients. We're so happy to work with you. And we understand that this is a pain point for you. And it's not necessarily a service area for ARPAN, because these people are coming back in, they're staying in their homes, they're not technically moving anything. But because we're long-term partners, we decided to come up with a welcome kit to help the people settle back in. And that welcome kit can be left at their home residence if they're able to complete the quarantine and come directly to their property. And it will include small things like Clorox wipes, disinfectants, Lysol spray, a few tea bags, popcorn, maybe a DVD, just very, very small things to say, welcome back to China. We know it hasn't been easy, but here's a small gift basket for you to make the transition getting back into your home easier, because we do recognize and understand that even they get back to their property, they still won't be able to go out and shop. They will still be limited until they complete that 14-day period and have the final negative tests conducted. They can't go anywhere. So in trying to show what Lauren was talking about, empathy, understanding, and support with the partners that we work with on a day-to-day basis, we came up with this idea of a welcome kit to help people settle back in.
I think that's terrific. Great thinking. Mr. Johnson.
Yep. Well, Singapore, again, is relatively small and easy to manage, but no matter what, empathy and information seem to be the two key critical success factors these days. And from Singapore, we manage the entire Asia region. So every country obviously is extremely different, has different levels of breakouts as well. So again, while Singapore itself might be relatively easy to provide information for, a country like, let's just say, the Philippines, where regionally there are lockdowns throughout the country for different periods of time at different kind of strength levels in relation to the lockdowns as well. So in terms of how it can affect people moving in and out, and we need to provide that information to different clients on a very regular basis as it changes so quickly. Country like Japan, different prefectures, different levels of outbreak, and also different restrictions of who can go particularly out. And if you don't have an entry visa, you're not going to get one for quite a while. We've had a C-level employee from a major multinational be stuck. Well, I shouldn't say stuck in Singapore. It's definitely not a bad place to be stuck, but not able to get their visa in for Japan for already 6 months. So way beyond their family's expectations. They've got schooling considerations, moving considerations, still apartment searches where they've selected an apartment and it's fallen through in Tokyo. So, absolutely people require, I should say, assignees require more empathy, and mobility teams require more information. So, certainly we're at the ready to provide the most up-to-date information, particularly to the mobility teams, and require our partners in different countries to be on sites for quality control visits, but also to lend an ear to a new family arriving in a country in a really, after possibly a really long haul and lengthy delay situation. So to make them whole again, and that's really what our business is all about. So we do hope that, obviously, like everyone, that this kind of rectifies itself in some form or another sooner than later. But I think we've all got to be prepared for the long haul.
No, it's so true. And I think that's kind of what this conversation is about, that it's a very different and stressful time. So anything we can do to help somebody alleviate some of that stress, moving on its own is stressful, let alone during a pandemic.
Absolutely.
When clients are expressing uncertainty, as we heard from our panel, it's essential that those in the industry go the extra mile in trying to put them at ease and help to alleviate as much stress as possible. As Lauren Inglis said, one of the best things you can do is to first put yourself in the client's shoes and to have empathy for what they're going through. Attention to details and clients knowing that you're thinking of them with such things like a welcome back gift basket, as Michael Hughes describes, or using a new technology like video surveys that Keith Whelan and Sebastian Sommer utilize show that you are putting clients and their families' health and safety first. These things make a tangible difference for people, and they show the client that you are more than just a service provider, you're a partner. You're not going to want to miss the last in our series, as we look at what the international moving industry may look like post-pandemic. And who knows, maybe we'll even get some predictions. You can watch it right now by clicking the link.